Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Kat, your host. Thank you for joining the Austin Downbeat. This is episode 75. We are three-quarters of the way to 100, which is exciting. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to do things a little bit differently moving forward. If you want to catch the rundown of who is playing where this week, which covers November 7th through the 13th, I'm going to point you to my Instagram handle for the show, which is just at Austin Downbeat. So if you want to pop on over to Instagram, check out who's playing, you can see all of that there. That way I can get right into this conversation that I have with the wonderful Cari Hutson. She is my guest today. We had a long conversation a couple weeks back that I so enjoyed. We talk about music, life, motherhood. She has a song that just dropped at the very end of October called Love Hurts. It's her rendition of that classic song. And she did this with Mark Del Castillo. If you have a second, just really put it out there. And if you look at my social media and stories, I will be using that song to serenade and go along with any stories that I do. It's so good. I knew this woman could sing. I mean, I've heard her sing, I've seen her sing live, but I feel like there's something about this cut that just magnifies what she can do with her voice, which is just well, it's amazing. So anyway, please enjoy my conversation with the beautiful Cari Hutson. Here she is. All right. I'm so happy to welcome you, Cari Hutson, to the show. It's so nice to finally meet you. My light's going crazy. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and having any interest in hearing about me and my life. That's pretty sweet.
Yes, I am very, very interested. And I feel like you have some things cooking. And so I want to talk about that. I feel like you have some things on I know you have a new single coming out on the
Yeah.
24th of this month called Love Hurts. So I want to talk about that.
Yep.
But yeah, you and I don't know each other. I feel like I know you because of the company that you keep, no pun intended, the name of your band.
Nice.
But you do surround yourself with such powerful, beautiful, decent, kind, and all the wonderful adjectives women. And I say that because I've had the pleasure of meeting them, knowing them, interviewing them, things like that. And so it's firsthand. And so you're like, you're like the final straw in that you're the lid.
The cherry
You're the
on
cherry
top.
on top. Yes. So I really wanted to get you on because I love what you do. I'm a fan of your voice. I'm a fan also of just, everyone kind of has their way of how they just sort of appear in the world. And I love your way. I love the way you come across. I love the photos that you did with Jessica. So
Man.
powerful and just so gorgeous and also vulnerable and sweet. And so I feel like you have just all these beautiful sides to you. So
Oh, thank you. I mean,
yeah.
I think we all do. I think that it depends on how we choose to be vulnerable and show all of those sides of ourselves. And that comes with growth for me. It took a long while to be completely vulnerable. My dog is scratching her ear like it's her last day to live. So if you hear a strange
Can't
noise
hear
in the
it.
background, that's Zoe going hard on the right ear. Hey, Zoe, chill, baby. But yeah, it took a long time to really feel like comfortable in my own skin. And I'm still really working on that as a whole. But I found that sharing has really helped in that process. Because the truth is we're all struggling with something.
Mm.
So, and now, with social media, I mean, music has always been a platform to share and tell your story, even tell someone else's story that maybe can't. But now with social media, it's, if you're going to take the reins and go for it, it's very important that you realize the power that you have every time you hit that keyboard. And you don't have to be someone that the public knows to make an impact, because you can make a poor impact on one person, and that's enough for me. I don't want to have a negative impact on any one person or the world, and so I want to make sure that the message that I'm bringing and sharing is not only authentic, but that it is keeping people feeling safe and keeping people feeling seen.
Mm.
um you know
Yeah. I would imagine too, we're both mothers of girls, and young girls, yours a little bit younger than mine. How has that shaped over the last 7 years for you in your relationship with yourself and
Mm.
the relationship with, that's a big one because I know that one personally, and then also the relationship that you have with what you just said, what you are choosing to put out there, who you are choosing to be.
I think I'm just trying to be a little bit more careful. And I think that if any of the women in PAACK were watching this, they would probably laugh because I'm very quick to the tongue to say what's right at the front. But um, just being really careful with words and being very thoughtful with words and actions, and making sure that your actions are following up your promises and things like that in life, and being true to the bone about who you are and sticking close to those values, and um, you know the things that really kind of like are the glue to your soul's fire.
Yeah.
And Hazel, my daughter, um she's a mirror for me. She looks just like my husband, but she mirrors me in personality and in her exuberance for life, but also the attitude and sassiness and all of that. So she's helped me grow because I'm very careful as what I want her to see and grow from. And but motherhood is really hard. I mean, funny enough, Kat, I was just kind of thinking about this last night about the journey that I've been on the last 7 years. And the journey, it sounds so like,
I know.
the journey,
I know.
like this. So
I
pardon
know.
that, but my experience in the last 7 years, it's not been that long ago since I realized that I really did go through postpartum depression. It's not something that a doctor ever stamped, you know, but looking back, I now go, oh, that's what that was, and sometimes is, it doesn't just go away because the kids grow.
Mhm.
Things linger, and you're forever changed, and with that, through the thing we all endured together as a world, this pandemic, you go through um, postpartum depression, and then this like trauma as a nation, as a world. And it's been fight or flight for a long time for me in particular. And um,
Mhm.
what came at the end of that was severe anxiety and newfound depression, and when you are on a microphone weekly
Mhm.
with some of your best friends, it's hard not to just, you have, it's, I find that I have to allow myself just to be what I am. And
Yes.
the beauty of it is that when I'm able to sit at that microphone with these women on that stage and I get to be that vulnerable, it allows someone else to do the same in their life. And that's the most powerful part of the last 7 years of becoming a mom, especially to a daughter, because my mom is no longer with us because she didn't talk, because she didn't share, because she didn't ask for help,
Mm.
because presenting the idea that everything's okay was
Mhm.
more important and more valued in that time,
Mm.
especially as a Marine Corps wife, an officer's wife. There's
Yeah.
a lot of presenting. And I'm
Yeah.
a performer on stage, but I do not present in life
Mm.
because things are far more too important to make, to play pretend that things are okay.
Mm.
You
I
know?
love that. I love that, the duality, I guess, but it's like such on the right side of the coin where you're a performer and you're putting on a show for us and you're giving us something that we really seek and we want for us to escape sometimes.
Hmm.
But you're doing it through a lens and through a body and a soul and a mind and a heart that refuses to settle for just optics.
Right. Oh yeah. 1000%.
Like
Yeah.
that's it's I mean, all I think of when I feel that is like just pure goodness and pure humanity and just everything pure just coming out. It's really, I've said this a few times before, and it's just as sure as I will never be or get used to the fact of like looking up in the sky and that there's an airplane flying, like that will always amaze me.
No.
Equally, you guys on stage that do what you do will always make me feel something so deeply, just the fact that you decide to get up there and that you're called to do it, right? It's
It is
amazing
a
what you
calling.
do. Yes, it is the intersection of your passion and your gift, and that's where you choose to sit, is in the middle of that intersection. And to me, I'm just so floored by that, and so humbled, and a million other things. So it's always interesting, and why I love doing this show and talking to people like you is like to see on the other side, your side, what is that like, and what's being put into that from your life, from your childhood, from your all your stuff as a human
Yeah.
being. It's really quite fascinating.
Well, and you're sweet to have those thoughts and feelings about it. Because truth be told, if we didn't have anyone that had that kind of feeling on the other end of us, what would be the point of us doing what we do?
Right.
You give us the reason, and but look, the thing about it is, and this is why I don't jump on these kind of bandwagons. Every now and then I'll see these things happen, especially when people just need a little extra attention, or like a pat on the back or something. We all need that in our lives, and me too. But the idea of this is so hard, musicians, this is so hard. It's like, man, jobs are hard, life is hard. Okay, like I chose this because it chose me.
Hmm.
It wasn't something that and yeah, being a mom while being a performer, and being a dreamer, and yeah, it's challenging. It's a total mind screw. I mean, flipping the script from being mom mode, and then getting in my car and like and then getting to the venue and being like, okay, now I'm Cari the performer, where I'm just me right now, and I don't have to worry. It's strange, and it's
Yeah.
constant, but it's not something that I need to be congratulated for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um but people will like, oh, but it must be so hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be an educator and come back and be a mom. It's hard to be a
Sure.
therapist, or a person that works shift work. Whatever you're doing, it's hard. It's a balance. We're all
Yeah.
just doing the best we can. um but it is it's a strange life.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do anything different. I don't know what I would do.
Well, it's funny because you talk about becoming a mother, and I remember when I became a mom the first time, I likened it to my friends as I'm going through a breakup with myself. I am
Girl.
breaking up with myself.
Mm,
I don't know when she's going to be back, but
yes.
bye bye. And over the last 16 years since I had my son, it has been a process of re-meeting myself every so often, saying goodbye to more of me, saying hello
Yes.
to some more of me, right? And it's like, so I'm thinking that, and I'm listening to you talk, and then I think, oh, now Cari has to go get up on stage and be Cari. Who's Cari? Does Cari know who Cari is? Do you know what I
It's
mean? I guess that's the performance part, where maybe you just sort of Beyonce it and you just dial in your Sasha Fierce and you
You know
like,
what? That's kind of what it is. So when I perform with good company, that's the Sasha Fierce. That's the if you're gonna call it that,
yeah.
Um, that's when I'm like, because I've always been a dancer before I did anything else. I've always been comfortable with movement, and there's something that's very religious, very spiritual in movement to me. And
Mhm.
then the coupling of movement with original expression in music is like, so
Yeah.
that's where I get to just like let all the fire out and let it all rip out. But and I still have my moments that bring me to the space that I'm in with PAACK. But with PAACK, it's like it took me a minute to find. I had a bit of imposter syndrome when I first became a member of PAACK, mainly because I don't hold an instrument. I don't.
Mm.
I don't play an instrument. My instrument is my voice and is my body. And um,
Mhm.
took me a minute to know what my purpose in that seat was and why I belonged
Mm.
outside of these new friendships that developed that were so
Mm.
in tune and like powerful bonds very quick. I knew I belonged in that sense, but sitting there, um, it took me a minute to find where I fit in that puzzle. And now every time I sit in that chair, I know exactly what I'm there for. And it's amazing to make connections with people through song and to talk about these things, be it brief in song intro, where I can just tell a light bulb goes off with someone and they're just
Mhm.
impacted in a way that's so human and of purpose. The only thing I lied earlier. The only thing I could think about doing in life outside of being a musician and performer is um, getting a counseling degree. I love people. I really care about people so deeply.
Mm.
I don't even necessarily want to. I just do.
Mm.
It's a kind of exhausting. I care about
Mhm.
I think about people that I drive by on the side of the road and I can't let it go. And it follows me sometimes, but with PAACK, in particular, I get to sit and just really connect with people through conversation and song. And, you mentioned earlier about having to let go of pieces of you and um, meet new versions of yourself and all that. And my most recent song, Not Love Hurts, that's a cover, but a single that will be coming out in the months to come is about that.
Mm.
And we've been performing it live with Good Company and PAACK, and it's really been beautiful to
Mm.
have the conversations after the show about that and how people have expressed their gratitude in that message and what it's doing for them. The song's called Back to the River, and it's
Mm.
just neat when someone comes up and says, "Hey, thank you. I'm gonna get back to the river." And I know that their river isn't mine, but
Yeah.
something clicked for them because it's all about coming back to self, coming back to that place in you, that because we all have a past.
Mhm.
And and we hopefully all will have a future that's promising, but we have the present now. And
Yeah.
for me, the present has always been the hardest place to be.
Mm.
um where
Yeah.
my feet are is what I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
And after losing my mom in 2020, I lost her to she died to alcoholic. And up until then, I was constantly waiting for the floor to drop out. It's like waiting, waiting, waiting. And then when it did, the quick finality of it's just really quite bizarre. And then you get days after that and weeks and months and then a year, and there's the impact that leaves. And
Mhm.
it's obviously extremely life changing, um but I've been left with her message, and I feel like I get to write the songs that she didn't get
Mm.
to write, and express some of these feelings that she didn't get to fully
Yeah.
express.
Do you feel like now with her gone, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
Do you like I would imagine, and we all have family and parents, even if they're not in our lives, but I'm imagining that there's some role that you play when they're alive, and then that role when they leave, you get to like almost take it off in a
You
way.
Yeah. For me, I'm not sure if I let you fully express your thought there. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
no, it's
interrupt.
more of just a leading, like, is that what happens? And are you taking that kind of role and like setting it down? And through that, are you processing and able to write the songs and finish the thoughts that lead you to the feet on the ground in this moment?
I'm on my way. I'm definitely
Yeah.
not there. With my mom, most of my life, my role was to be her daughter, and we had a wonderful relationship. And you know, it wasn't until later in her life that I really understood that she was an alcoholic and that there were things I didn't know, because she was just very good at not showing it.
Ah,
As I mentioned, the woman got it done. She was an amazing professional.
gotcha.
She was incredible.
Mm.
probably the smartest person I've ever met in my life. And that's why the fall was so like alarming. And
Yeah.
my role in the latter part of the life was really to just try to get my family to see what I saw. I saw it all unfolding, and I kept trying to, like, dress up the elephant that was in the room so that people would see her. And finally, the truth is I did get her in rehab because she asked me to help her. And the truth is she did get, clean, but it just didn't last. And it's because she went back to a situation and that wasn't, healthy for her. And um so in that whole process and her passing, I was always trying to be the hero. I was always trying to, save the day, so to speak. And so it was it was a relief to take that role away from myself. But then I was also just in brand new motherhood at that point. So it just shifted to a new, like, someone I have to save, even though I don't necessarily. It
Mm-hmm.
became, there's this whole idea of, like, always waiting for the worst thing to happen.
Yeah.
Um, and I, and so there's so many people that wouldn't know a clue as to why you would ever do that. And it's not a choice. I mean, for me, the trauma of losing my mother and the trauma of becoming a mother, I mean, it's a lot on the body. Everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
It got me into this fear-based way of living, and where I was always planning for the worst to happen and then working back from there.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm a problem solver. I'm very good with logistical stuff. I can make plans and I'm organized.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is that it's like my brain was misusing its intelligence. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of helping me understand the ways to fuel all of the positive things in life that will go right, it was becoming very creative about how things could go so very, very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the anxiety that I experienced through that whole time was crippling. Um, I had some very, very touch and go times, and it just took time and understanding of self and talking. And I feel I'm now on a very different side of that.
Yeah.
Um, but the whole preparing for, because when this is the thing, when the worst thing does happen, you're like, oh,
See?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to prepare for next time.
Well, it's called hypervigilance, and trauma does that.
Yes.
That's I mean, I know that very well in my own personal life. I've lived most of my life in hypervigilance. I'm very aware of it, which equals also survival mode, which
Mm.
you don't want to stay in, right?
No,
That
can't.
served me really well as a kid. It served me really well as a young person, and then it kind of stops serving you well. And but the tricky thing is trusting. You have to trust, but then you don't have anything. There's no framework for your
Mm.
trust because you've been hypervigilant your whole life, because you're ready and braced to get blindsided because you know it's
Yes.
going to happen, because history shows, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
it's crazy, Cari, because so much of it, like you're doing, like I'm doing finally in my life, is kind of unwinding that and building a new framework for us to kind of mesh our beautiful brains and trust systems around. But like, it's really hard to do that. And you can sit here and be like black and white of like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly why I'm doing it. But to step out of that is so hard. It's
Well, and it just takes time.
yes. And you have to be
It just
so
takes,
kind with yourself
oh,
and
yeah.
so patient with yourself, and exactly what you're doing. Just be here now, both feet on the ground, take
Hmm.
one moment at a time, acknowledge what's happening, good and bad, and just define it, put labels on it, name it, define it, and create that
Hmm.
narrative little by little by little every day. Um,
And I mean, and the people you mentioned earlier that are in my bubble, they are the ones that see me through these things. And my husband is incredible. I
yeah.
mean, it is about your community and about the people that are around you.
Hmm.
And it's such a huge impact on getting over that hump.
Yes. Yeah. I remember when my son, I had postpartum depression, and I
Mm.
felt like I was in a well, like deep in the belly of a well. And I knew I was in the well. I knew I was down there. I was so cognizant of what was happening in my brain chemistry, I just couldn't get out. I
Mhm.
just couldn't get out. There were the walls, there was no grip. There was nowhere to grip.
Ugh.
And I don't know how any other way to explain it for people, that have never experienced that. It just, I could tell you, I could describe everything. It's not like I didn't have the words. It's
Right.
just you can't climb out,
Well,
feels impossible. But luckily, this is why I love women so much. And like, I love women like you and that are open to talk. And I think this is one of the big ways, like you just mentioned, like having the courage to talk, say things out loud, especially when you feel vulnerable.
mhm.
But I mean, that's the antidote, I believe, in large part, is just talking
Yeah.
about it, normalizing it so then you don't go into shame, because I think that's the next kind of cousin of all of this is shame. And it's just that's a whole other, ball of wax where
Well, and we're really good at creating stories,
yeah.
um, and a lot of it is in the fact that we start to view ourselves in a certain way in that silence, when we are retreating and keeping ourselves from other folks. You really do start to project your own feelings of self onto how everyone must be feeling too, and it's just it's a big lie, and it's a lie that's easy to succumb to. And um I
Yeah.
can't imagine not being able to talk about it, not being able to in the sense of having no one there, but also in the sense of being emotionally blocked to not be able to.
Yeah.
I obviously I talk very freely and openly. I don't. I feel like that was a gift my mother gave me.
Mm.
Watching her whole story unfold
Mm. Yeah.
was the biggest lesson that I
Mm.
could ever be
Yeah.
taught.
Yeah.
As
Isn't-
hurtful and impactful and terrible and beautiful and the perfect storm of it all,
Mhm.
did give me this
Mm.
ability to speak.
Yeah. I always say in every situation, especially the really hard ones, there's always nuggets of gold. There's always
Mm.
gold, always. And it sounds
Yeah.
like that's a big piece of it for you.
Oh,
Makes
oh yeah, she's very much still with me. You
Yeah.
know.
Aw. Well, what do you have cooking with music? We're gonna change direction.
Please, yes.
I know. I just but I really do appreciate you willing to kind of go deep and be
Yeah.
because I think it's really, really important. And so I really appreciate it. I know it makes just even me personally like it's a little shot in the arm for me in my day too,
Yeah.
just
Well,
to hear
thank you for
someone.
listening. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah. Anytime. You just call me.
Oh,
um,
I will.
I will help you through the teen years because they are
Please.
delicious and they can be, I mean, like I'm at 13, daughter. So, like it can be so delicious and I will help you. I really will.
Please do. I
Yeah.
will absolutely hold you to that.
Tons of sass, even when they're crazy, crazy sassy. You just want
Woo!
to kill them. Oh yeah. Anyway,
Just
um,
love them to death.
you just love them to death. So music wise, we just keep it real here,
Yes.
I love my kids. um, but music wise, you are putting out some singles, you're dropping some things. What's happening
Yeah.
in the music department for
So I had a really cool opportunity kind of fall in my lap. Mark Del Castillo of the band Del Castillo, they've been playing Austin for a handful of years, a couple handfuls, and they're incredible musicians. Well, Mark reached out to me and asked me to record vocals for a track that he had been putting together, mainly for the idea of use of film.
Mhm.
It's a very cinematic version of the song Love Hurts, mostly known by Nazareth's version of it. Everly Brothers did it, from what I understand, like in the 60s. But Nazareth made it mostly well known in the late 80s. And I was familiar with the song, didn't know it verbatim, one of
Mhm.
those kind of situations where you think you know it, then you get up to do sing
Yeah.
karaoke, and without the lead track, you're like, I don't know this. That's kind of where I was with the song. So I didn't really have any preconceived notions as to what I'd be doing, but just hopped into his studio, and it really happened so quickly. I think we tracked it within 30 minutes, and it's just this explosive, fierce, intense track. And it's, I played it for Kelly Green first out of all the ladies, because I know that that's just a style of music, older rock that she's really into. It really comes through in her style of playing. And so I shared with her first, and she said, even herself, she's like, I was just expecting like the standard entrance to the song, and then when she heard it, she was just sent me all the mind blown emojis and whatever. But it really is incredible. Like it stretched my voice to a place that I haven't been in a long time, and I'm just really hoping that it can find its way on a film, or a set somewhere where the scope of my name and my career can kind of do like this, reach a little further. I love Austin. I've been doing this for over 20 years here. I'm ready to kind of let some other people know about me. So yeah, Love Hurts. It's going to be out October the 24th on Spotify and all digital platforms. And we'll see what happens, just kind of putting some good feelings behind it. We've been working with a publicist to try to get it into more hands and more ears.
Yeah.
And then, outside of that, I've got a handful of new originals that we've two that are recorded that need to be mixed and mastered. Back to the Rivers, one of them. Another song that that's coming out that was kind of inspired by a conversation with a good friend, love and relationships type song. It's like a 3.5 minute banger. It's just made for radio. So it's taken me a minute to step in my own as a songwriter. I wrote my first record and a half, I'll say, with a guy out of Wimberley, Jim Drew, Salt of the Earth type guy, 3 chords and the truth, but he wrote he did a lot of the writing, and I kind of just like put in words. But the second single that I mentioned, we're not really sure the title yet, but I wrote that one with guitar in hand myself while Hunter was out of town. It was a big deal for me. Yeah. It didn't sound good, but I did it. And it was the most affirming for me as a songwriter to go, okay, I am a songwriter. I've written many songs, but this was the first one that I really just sat down and wrote. And it felt so, so good. And it was, gave me the confidence that I needed to kind of, propel forward, because I got to tell you, I turned 45 on the 7th of this month and of September. We're in October now. God. And yeah, I'm like, oh, that was not last week. But I just, that imposter syndrome, it keeps kind of peeking up every now and then, and most of it's due to this, like, the evil comparison game that we play, and not everybody plays it, but I find myself in it quite often, and what are they doing? What are they doing? That looks better than me. That looks, and these next couple songs that are coming through, I don't have release dates yet, but they're coming. It's like, there she is, and that feels really good.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing, it keeps circling back to the deep stuff, Kat, like,
yeah,
where am I? Where did she go? Yeah, I was in that,
Yeah.
And these songs that are now coming to the fore, they're all kind of coming through. There she is, So
yeah. And it's telling yourself that just as much as it's telling everyone else that, and propelling your career, and, helping you do the kind of businessy side of this whole machine. But I think more importantly, you're reminding yourself of what you already know, but because you are who you are, and music is your whole like life source, really. I mean, I feel it might be safe to say, then this is kind of what you need to do, is to like,
it is what I need to do.
It's almost like you're giving birth. It's like you're birthing parts of yourself.
I mean, it does feel like that. I mean, the songs do feel like children, and you do like some more than the other. And, but like, but it also, the biggest thing as of late, which is so frustrating, because the mere idea that someone would quit something that they're really, really good at and meant for just because they need to make more money
Mm,
is
mm.
uh, dreadful. But that's where, I find myself every now and then like, yeah, this is all great. I'm following my heart. I'm doing these things, but we got to pay our mortgage. You know what I mean? Like we got to pay our bills. And that's the
Yeah,
thing about this business. It can be feast or famine,
yeah,
and you just have to prepare for those famine times while you're feasting,
yeah.
and it takes a while to learn. And so Hunter and I are still learning. We're both musicians. He does do side job, carpentry work, things like that, but we're still, two dreamers under one household. And
Mhm.
so keeping the ground stable and the roof on is can be hard sometimes because, you know, we can't both be like fa la la at the same time. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you, there are three musicians in the house,
And there are, yeah,
I'm
Hazel is coming up.
I know. I'm loving what you share with us and in her bass playing adventures and School of Rock and her performance.
I know.
It warms my heart as a mom, as someone that just loves music and has played music my whole life, just what that gives to a soul and a heart when you're coming to it so authentically and organically as she is. I mean, having you
Mhm.
two as parents, it's not super surprising because she's in a musical home and that's how it was for me. But how do you guys balance all of that? I mean, because you guys are you all sort of just, I imagine the three of you just sort of like floating. 'Cause-
We don't balance anything though.
okay.
We're like got plates over here. Like it is the thing about it is like we are probably far less musical in this household on a daily basis than what most people would probably imagine. It's not like we wake up in the morning and Hunter's like sitting on the edge of the bed like playing me a song, good morning, it's like no, like it's very much regular. you
Yeah.
know we need to spend more time making music in this household, but the daily eclipse like this, and so with Hazel and music, and that was never going to be something we were ever going to like force in her hand. It really had to come organically. We offered her the space and opportunity to learn some, to play music. And truth be told, she first asked to play violin, but at that age she was 5, and we were like, okay, heard you, got it. Probably not the best starter. And so we dialed it back. We have a piano in the house. Well, we have a full thing in the house, but like she started gravitating towards her dad's guitars, and then we introduced her to the idea of School of Rock. And it's kind of building program, like you start and they just kind of have a general access to all the instruments, and then they can kind of choose theirs. And
Mhm.
she chose the bass, but truth be told, she's now picking up the guitar way more often, and she's wanting to make the switch.
Oh,
And probably because there's like 35 guitars at her, I mean, they're everywhere.
yeah.
um but she's really good. Like I'm happy that it's hers. It's not mommy and daddy's, it's hers. And truth be told, the thing that I love the most about her new relationship with music, and it really is her own, is, the other day we had a disagreement, she and I, and she was just, beside herself. I don't remember what it was about. She's 7, probably told her she couldn't have some chocolate or something. I don't know. But we have the amplifiers up here all the time. It's all set up in the studio. And she came upstairs, clicked it
Mm.
on, and just started playing. And it was like the emotional maturity for her at that little age to be like, you know what, I know where I can sort this out. I'm going to go up there
Mm.
and I'm going to go play the guitar. That just,
It's
and
awesome.
I mean, it's not always that way. I mean, just the same way we throw fits as adults, she does too. But that was beautiful to me. I was like, that's her relationship. That's hers, you
Her
know?
her river is getting carved,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
she's letting it out and it's like carving her own little
Hmm.
river.
It's really beautiful. And I'm really stoked about her future because she's driven and she's so smart, and she's clearly very natural with it.
Mhm.
But yeah, she's I'm not surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
but I am stoked
Yeah.
for
How
her, you know.
fun. How fun to get to watch that. You know, it's so
Oh
fun
yeah.
to watch your kids, no matter what they do, come into their own selves and their autonomy and their agency over who they are and how they feel about things and how they make decisions and how they
Hmm.
blow off some steam. It's such a beautiful front row seat that we get, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm so happy that you have that.
Me too.
Yeah. she's so cute too.
She is. I look at Hunter all the time and I'm like, 'cause she's gonna be like, she's gonna be tall and those legs will go on for days. And child, I was
I
like, good luck, daddy.
I know. And it happens so fast. My daughter is now taller than me. My son is taller than me. I am that mom that I'm kind of tall. And they're just like, yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Okay, I'm 5'6". Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like 5'7 1/4.
She's
And
right over there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's been like all summer long, she was just like growing and growing and growing. We like every couple weeks she would make me check. And it was right before our eyes. We could just see it happening and happening. And you know what's crazy is she never it's not that she wasn't a great sleeper, but you grow when you sleep when you're a kid, right? And so,
Mhm.
but she was the type of kid that if she heard my toe crack on my way out of the room, it was start bedtime all over again.
Same.
Like I'd have to crawl in the crib. Used to sleep in the crib at times because it was like no one's gonna sleep because she
I
was.
remember doing like the ninja crawl to get out of the bedroom, like,
Oh yeah,
and
and
trying
like
to avoid the board that would creak.
yeah, or like I remember checking the doorknobs in the house that we got, and it was just like, okay, how's this gonna work getting out of this room? Like making sure like which room should we put her in? Okay, is this doorknob quiet? Because that's gonna
Yeah.
be the one. But as a teen, now she sleeps and sleeps and sleeps and sleeps. And I think that's what made her, grow.
Yeah, for sure. My brother, when we first had Hazel, I'll never forget what he told us. He's really funny, my older brother. And he was like, welcome to the Thunderdome. And yes, it is that. So funny.
It's it's insane. I mean, I always I couldn't set her down because she had deep, deep, deep attachment issues. Um, that all makes sense, but we had to kind of unwind those after she came out. And I couldn't ever set her down. She lived on my left hip. So I was gonna write a one-handed cookbook. I was like, this is brilliant. I'm gonna start writing anything that you can make with one hand with
That
it.
is brilliant.
I know I never did it because I only had one hand.
No,
But the idea is there for anyone out there that wants to write a one-handed cookbook.
oh, it's so good. So
Yeah.
good.
Mhm. I know it. And all the moms out there know it too.
Oh, it's
We
real. It's
preaching.
definitely real.
Yeah.
Wow. Brilliant.
Before we say goodbye, what else is there to talk about?
So I have this kind of a special bond with um like a living, not a living legend, but a legend that in the music business. I have this really special relationship with the estate for Janis Joplin. And I say that I'm one of a handful of women that have had the opportunity to be okayed by the estate to perform um, on different stages, kind of like not personating, but sharing the words and the life of her in front of large audiences. I was a part of a show called A Night with Janis Joplin, and that show went to Broadway with Mary Bridget Davies, and I was not able to go on that cast, but I was a part of the cast and had this amazing opportunity to meet her family and fans of hers. And I bring this up because in the recent like handful of years, Hunter and I decided, because Hunter also was a part of the cast with me. He played the guitar on the show. It started at Zach Scott Theater, and then it went to the West Coast in the San Jose Repertory Theater. And when we got back from California, we and the show was over for us, and now on Broadway, we were like, oh man, we're not done. I'm not done
Mm.
singing her songs. Like it was a very full circle thing, the way that I got involved with the show, back when I was in my 20s and in college, I first kind of heard her music, and my brother introduced me to one of her songs, and he got me in my band at that time. Who I had a horn line in the band. Blue Funk Junction was the name of the band, and he had us do "Try," her song "Try," and that was when I first heard my voice go to this place that I'd never knew it could. And it
Wow.
happened all in front of an audience at Steamboat on 6th Street, and because in our rehearsal complex, we rehearsed in a Tom Thumb mini storage, so I would never go for it because I was always afraid it was going to sound terrible or just be too loud.
Mhm.
So here we were at Steamboat, sing it out. My brother was in the audience. He was like, "That's my sister," and it was like this moment. Well,
Yeah.
that moment followed me in my career. It actually got to the point where I was kind of sick of singing Janis songs because people would always like ask for it, and I'm like, I do write original music, and so it
Mhm.
kind of became a thorn in my side. But later on, it kind of made a little path back to me. I studied musical theater in college. I'm in a rock and roll band now at this point, and here I get this opportunity to audition to play Janis Joplin in a rock musical, right? So it's this full circle thing. I get cast as a alternate to the lead, and then eventually when we go to California, I close the show as the lead. And I had the pleasure of meeting a couple members of Big Brother and the Holding Company, her band, and I kept up with Dave Getz, the drummer. And he ended up handing over a song to me when I was going into the studio to record my second record. And back in '69, they were in a sound check, and Janis had scribbled down some lyrics on a napkin and left them on the stage, and Dave kept them. And then she passed not too long after that. And he eventually put some music around those words, but he never really did any big release with it. So he ended up kind of handing the song over to me and my band. And we, I remember we were sitting around this kitchen table in this old farmhouse on the east side of Austin, where we recorded live on the floor like Led Zeppelin back in the day, just as a band, and we were sitting on a kitchen table, and we worked our version of the music up and sent an iPhone recording to Dave Getz, and he blessed it, so to speak, and we recorded it. And that song sits on my second record, and it's a song called Can't Be the Only One. Lyrics by Janis Joplin, and it's something that I often kind of forget that happened, but it's so special. And so we started doing this show. And at first it was like always on Janis's birthday, which is the 19th of January. But, and we always just called it Happy Birthday, Janis, Love Cari, but then COVID came and things got weird, like, on a grand scale, but also for our show. And so coming out of that, I kind of went through like a rebranding for it because I now no longer really wanted it to have to be around her birthday. And so we decided to name it KOSMIC, and it's KOSMIC, a tribute to Janis Joplin.
Mhm.
And we did it last year at 310, and it was a huge success. And this year we're taking it to the O4 Center, and it's going to be on January 20th, 2024 at the O4 Center. And we're having a liquid light analog show, and we have a really great opening band planned. So yeah, it's that was something I wanted to mention because it's you want to say hi?
Sure.
You can say hi.
Hi, Hazel.
Hi.
Hi, sweet girl.
It's her bedtime, so I think she's like, come on,
Even
girl.
better. Come on. My name is Kat. It's so
Kat.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I have seen photos of you playing bass and, just a couple here and there. And so I just want to say I'm really, really excited for your adventure with music. How does it
Her light went
feel?
off.
How does it feel when you're playing an instrument?
Good.
I
Yeah.
know, just leave it off, baby. I think it's hot. It's okay. We don't need it.
You look good. You look good.
I'll be there in a minute. Say bye, Miss Cat.
Bye.
Oh, bye.
We'll see you in a minute.
I need to show you something funny.
I have to do this, okay? So there we are.
I
No,
love
but
it.
I'm really, I know, she's so sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that show. And I just wanted to mention it because it is something that is near and dear to my heart, that relationship
Yeah.
with the legacy that she left, and I want as many people to come to that show as possible because it really is incredible to lift those songs up again and play with my incredible band. So we're working on that right now, and I'm really excited.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. I was just at a concert at the O4 Center for the very first time, and it's a great, great venue to have a show.
Yeah, it
Great,
is.
great
And
sound, great lights.
outside of the great sound and, vibe is also the amount of, parking and like the accessibility to it
Yes.
is such, I mean, now that I'm getting older, I'm like, I just want to be able to drive up and park. So,
No. And also like the show that I saw, I think it started at 8. It was like, I love I love a show that starts at 8.
I know.
You can you can tell her to go to bed.
I did. Like,
You know, what's funny is that now my kids tuck me in. I do kind of
oh,
like bombard them and dive bomb them on their beds, but most of the time, and then they're like, my son is like, he'll endure it for a little while, and then he'll be like, his new thing is to say, thank you for stopping by.
thank you.
And that's my
great.
cue. It's my cue to kiss him goodnight and just leave.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I'm gonna remember that.
Enjoy it while you have it, because now I'm just like, oh, let me just smell you. Let me just touch you. And thank you for stopping by.
So good.
You get to cuddle. No, my daughter lets me cuddle with her.
Yeah, I think she'll forever cuddle.
Yeah. So will mine. Well, I'm excited for you. And January 20th, 2024 is not that far away. It'll
No,
be
it's
here
not.
before you know it. So yeah, we'll make sure to let people know about that. And then October 24th, Love Hurts, your version comes out. Are you doing any kind of show, like release show or anything like that?
No, because Mark and I don't actively play together, I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible idea, except for, that week we're going to be all out, so it wouldn't, if we did, it would be post,
After.
yeah. So
no worries.
We'll see.
We'll just we'll pump it through the internets.
Yeah, definitely take a listen. It's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
I can't wait to hear it. Cari, thank you for stopping by and spending a little time. I know you had to juggle a little bit, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Really. Thank you for giving a damn and just, it's always nice to feel that someone cares about what you're doing. And so thanks. It means a lot.
You're very welcome. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it for the love of God. Yeah, don't stop. Don't stop. All right. That does it for another episode of the Austin Downbeat, guys. Thanks for watching. Cari, thank you for joining. And we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
All right.